DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Good evening and welcome to a Tuesday night with Ben Stowe with your very popular host, Ben Stowe. This is where you say you're supposed to go raw.
I got nothing to say to that. I don't know what to say. I'm like,
the crowd is cheering.
Oh,
the snowflakes are cheering for us outside. Where is it? I don't know.
You know what though? 25 degrees today here in Bemidji, and it was 18 below yesterday.
Yeah, it was like almost 40-degree difference in temp. It's like, how could this be? Oh,
just taunting us. I think it's amazing. 25 felt so nice.
I took off the jacket, I dropped the pants, and I ran through the yard, slid across the snow. It was fabulous.
I'm wearing a t-shirt.
I'm not. I turned the heat up actually. It's cold. But anyway, it's better than it was. So tonight, gang, we have got a topic in which a lot of you have been asking about and talking about, and it's even been coming back online again recently, talking about ways to control lighting. Because as DJs, some of us are technically advanced and we can turn that light switch on over there, and some of us not so much. So I asked Ben if he could put together, clap on, clap up, clap. So
that's the show.
Yeah, good night. But I wanted to see if Ben could put together a kind of a progression of the way a person could control lighting, looking at some of the simpler and maybe some of the more advanced. So, Ben, how did your search go?
Well, so, with all the excitement going on at NLFX and the expansion and all that, progression might not be a word we want to use tonight, because I'll tell you exactly, I'll just lay it out there. I'll tell you exactly
We're going to be talking about the clapper.
Yes, we're going to talk about the clapper. I went to our warehouse at about 10 minutes after 5, and our warehouse guys are usually gone by 4:30, but luckily I caught one working late, and I said, I need some lighting control options. Let's go shopping around the warehouse a little bit, and just grabbed an arm load and said, okay, that'll work. And out I go. And I got home and I've got them sort of laid around here, but I have not organized them in any progression. And I'm not sure you could, other than the ultra simple, which, we could just sort of jump off with that, where you can't get any simpler than this. You've got 8 switches on the front, and you've got 8 outlets on the back. Mm-hmm. You plug this in, and when you turn the switch on, the outlet on the back turns on that corresponds to that switch. So switch on, switch off, switch on, switch off. Certainly a very easy way to control 8 different lighting effects that you just want to turn on and off, and you're just simply turning on and off the power. We're obviously a long ways from DMX and control and purposeful movements or colors or anything like that. But so I suppose if we were to do this in a progression, that would have to be the beginning of the line.
Now let's go back in history, Ben, because I knew this was going to be one of the items you would show. When you first started putting together your light show for your mobile events and things you were doing, how close to controlling the lights were you to that compared to where? I
wonder, somewhere I still have box I made when I first started, and it was of course we didn't have a store up here like there
wasn't much
things, so really out of necessity I made a lot of things. Plus I was poor as a church mouse. I mean, I had to scavenge the coffee cans I used to make my lights out of. I literally went dumpster diving for electronic components. So I made one out of a little red toolbox and receptacles and home light switches, of the 39-cent variety.
Yes.
Ironically, I think I probably could have bought one of those cheaper because you can buy those things for under $20, ready to go and with an ETL stamp on it, and off you go. Safe, and mine probably wasn't safe, but so functionally though it was identical. You turn on a switch and a receptacle turned on, and that's what it was.
Yeah. I think in the early days we had the wooden box was the very first one, and it had the outlets or the switches and the outlets on it, and then we graduated to that so we could turn on the mushroom effect, and we had to worry about that whole cycle where you could only be
duty cycle.
Yeah, duty cycle. Okay, where
duty cycle.
Yeah, they could be on for 5 minutes and then they'd be off for 5 minutes. And
you want to hear a great story? Since we're going back in history, I'm going to come out here. Since this is our 25th year in business, I feel like this is a good opportunity at some point for me to drop some real humanity nuggets on the industry, because obviously I get paid a lot of money to fly around the country and speak and lecture and solve people's problems. And I'm, widely recognized as an expert, not just in the DJ industry, but in other parts of pro audio. I work with A-list artists, but all that, your word progression, all that was because of a progression.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
When I see people ripping on new DJs and people that come to the forums for advice, I think, my gosh, thank goodness Facebook wasn't around when I was a DJ, because that could have been me.
Yeah.
I could have been the guy with this homemade box and coffee cans, and people are going, you idiot, and I'm thinking, gosh, how funny is that? These people now, they might be the next generation of experts that we might be paying to see at our conferences. So here's that little nugget of humility. Since now I'm safely veiled by, this awesome resume I have. Let me dress myself down a little bit for you and tell you about my first effect light that I saved up for quite a while to get. I don't know how many DJ paychecks and part-time job paychecks until I could finally afford this effect light.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got it. And I was so stoked about it. It had a 64514 lamp in it and the Moonflower, very basic effect. But it was the first one I had that wasn't made out of a coffee can. So I was pretty excited about this thing. I think it was a couple $100. Anyway, I was so excited. I brought my friends over to my apartment, my little apartment, and I set up this light, and I was showing them this, dichroic pattern from the dish rotating around. And they're like, is that all it does? I said, no, it has beams in the air. Well, how do we see the beams? Well, you got to have a fog machine. Where's your fog machine? I don't have a fog machine. Okay, I got to save up for the fog machine. So I went to my kitchen and I got a bag of flour. I'm not even making this up.
Oh, no.
And I started throwing flour up in the air so you could see the beams of the lights. And my friends were so impressed.
And
now, guess what else I didn't have?
A vacuum.
A vacuum. That's right. So I had to go borrow a friend's vacuum to vacuum the flour off my living room floor. But, there it is. That's there you go. 25 years ago. Anyway.
Oh, that's very funny.
And I love that story now. I'm not at all, I know this is about lighting control. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic, but I'm not at all ashamed of my past. Mm-hmm. I'm not at all ashamed that I lived in a homeless shelter. I'm not at all ashamed that I threw flour in the air to see an effect light, or that I made unsafe devices. I mean, I wish I had known more. Obviously I learned, and I got an electrical license and all those kinds of things. And again, maybe it's easy because, now I get to be the president of this, very successful company. And I don't know, but I think it's funny. The more successful we become and the bigger our imprint on the industry becomes, the more I really cherish those moments. The more I really cherish that time when everything was new and exciting and it just was special,
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. Sorry, I said to wax philosophic there, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no, I get you. I get what you're saying. Doing the things back then, and we didn't have. I was talking to someone the other day, and we didn't have a credit card to go out and buy our first system.
No,
they didn't exist.
Nobody in their right mind would have gave me a credit card.
Yeah,
I was 17 and homeless.
It was like, okay, well, we have to figure a way to do this, and it was. Yep, a lot of lawn mowing money from my first business of mowing lawns at the age of 14 went towards buying the first pieces of gear. Our first major light show that we had that was really cool was going to J.C. Whitney catalog and getting a lot of the 12-volt revolving beacon, the police beacons. And we
That's
had
awesome.
yellow and green and blue and the little push button. I had my shop teacher make a little console that had the spots. He drilled them out so we could mount some little temporary switches in there. So a 12 volt, push the button and the light would spin, and one person.
A customer was just telling me, I think it was today or yesterday, about how they used to take Christmas lights and plug them into the speaker terminals on their speaker. And of course, speaker voltages can get up there. And so it would actually kind of illuminate those lights. Not a good idea, by the way, don't do that. But again, I did some things like that too. I didn't really know. And what a cool thing. And that was a great story for this customer and I to share. I think there's that excitement, that recklessness, a little bit. And people say to me now when they're shopping for something and they say, "Well, you just don't understand. I'm on a budget." I'm like, "You don't even know what I understand." Okay.
It's so different.
I literally chose between food and gear. And I just had a great opportunity the other day that I'm not going to say the names because I just don't want to be that guy. But I had the good fortune of sitting down at dinner with some very famous rock stars. And they're siblings. And they were talking about some of the early days touring, and some people that knew some people that knew some people that I knew, kind of thing, and you could just see their eyes light up when they were talking about playing for 30 people, and we were, about to go do an arena show for thousands,
sure.
But they were talking about these days when they're, in a borrowed van, and then I kind of feel the same. Obviously I'm not a rock star, but I could totally identify with that feeling. I'm sure it's a great feeling to go out and rock an arena, but there's these moments of the genesis of all of it.
For sure.
So I'm just sorry, I got all philosophical. Yeah. So we're back to the plug-in lighting control. Well, beyond that, I suppose the next natural progression would be something like this. Okay. Where we have a control head.
Yes.
On my head. And that goes to a remote pack. And so in essence, instead of running 120 volt extension cord from the little black box up to our lighting tree or truss, here we run a control cable and then a mains power cable, and the power is distributed from that pack in the tree or truss and controlled by that head end pack. And this one also adds some features of, timer, and some of them have a sound active function and that sort of thing. So I suppose that would be the next natural progression for simple on and off, flash and trash, spin and puke, call them what you want, basic effects like the mushroom or the derby or the cat's eye or aggressor, and pick your name of traditional effect, most of which are still available now, but in LED form. Mm-hmm. And of course, most of them now don't have duty cycles because they're LED, yes. And many of them have multiple effects packed into that body due to the diversity that's offered to us. And they also have DMX. And I'm not sure where that ranks in our progression, but I'll hold off on it for just a minute. Yeah. I'm going to try to make this work. I'm going to try to pull this together into a progression.
Now, the device you just showed us from Chauvet there, now is that getting into the point where, the first one basically was turning the lights on and off, and you didn't have any kind of patterns or anything to that effect. Now, are we getting into the types of things that could chase some floods? Because remember, when we first had the ability to chase floods, and we could stand here.
Yeah.
And, man, that was we had something.
That was the backbone of my show.
It was, yeah. Prior to that, we had to have someone manually turn red light on, turn red light off, turn yellow light on.
Yeah, my first lighting controller was called Travis, and that's what he did.
The buttons, yeah.
For $3 a gig. I don't know what he got, but none of us made enough even to pay for our gas money, but anyway, and then he got just like technology does, it replaced him. So
Travis is unemployed now. He has been for 27
years.
He's
doing okay. He's doing really well, by the way. He went on to a great engineering job, but he was a high school electronics shop classmate of mine. And anyway, nice guy. So this one, has that ability to, you can either latch a light on or you could put it into a chase sequence and that sort of thing. And it has 2 banks of 4, I believe, on this unit, where you could say, okay, you guys are going to chase a pattern like my, floods, and these other 4 lights, they're going to be latched on or off like an effect light. Maybe you'd want to just turn on the mirror ball for, a particular dance or that sort of thing, can sort of control your effects. So they're so they're purposeful. And I think that was important to me even back then, and that's why control is important. Is you don't want to just turn everything on and just let it go. At least I didn't. Some viewer out there might say, well, I do. Well, that's cool, man. It's your show, whatever. But I didn't. I wanted to control what was doing what at any given moment. I felt it was necessary to have a purposeful light show augmenting the audio experience that the guests were having.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if the audio experience was much better because my audio gear was a little rough too. But
yeah, again,
but I was trying.
this is early in our careers, and that happens. So just as we're talking about this, a couple of names that jumped back to me. There was an ETA company, a company by the name of ETA, wasn't it, that made light controllers back then?
It sounds right. Yeah, it kind of like the rounded E.
I think something like that. Because I remember they were like the one that I want to say that they were like, oh, you've got that type of control. And then there was a Lightcraft, was another company that.
Yep, it was Lightcraft, Light Pewter.
Yeah, Light Pewter is another one.
Ness, Light Quest.
Oh yes, and these companies when we were first starting, for those of you who haven't been doing this for 30 years, these were the companies that were making the controllers that could chase the floods, and maybe we could dim the floods. Oh yeah, gosh!
I had a dimmer on mine. That was important. I mean, not my first one, but my second one.
Yeah.
I knew what I wanted, and I quickly raised my technological bar as I could. Again, I'm like, well, I don't need to eat this week. I can buy this new lighting controller. So that's why I'm so skinny.
Well, I like that lighting controller. I'll get that one now.
Well, I think that was a benefit too of having been a wrestler and then being a new business owner. Is I was used to not eating.
That discipline was already built in.
Yeah, just sort of like, well, we're no longer making weight; we're just making the rent. So whatever. I mean, kept my fighting weights. So let's see. I would say probably our next progression is sort of a three-way tie here. And I'm going to say it's something like this, where we have our UC3, which has some basic functionality here. We've got, some mode choices, maybe like a blackout, that sort of thing. And it just plugs into the light and gives us some basic control from the light to our hand. And a close cousin to those, but I put them, again, we're going in progression here. I'm going to make this work, John.
You're working it. You're doing well. You're doing very well.
I feel like I can get away with this. Maybe is of course viewers have the benefit of the rewind button. We can go back and evaluate me here, but I'm not stressed about it. We've got great viewers, and actually I'm gonna share a moment here in a minute about viewers. But here's another example. This is not infrared but RF, radio controlled. Even has a little telescoping antenna, but here again gives us a choice between some programs, blackout, sound active, that sort of thing. Gives us some basic control. And then there are plenty of infrared options as well, where, we can now just point it at things. And then, of course, there's other radio options where lights can talk to each other using wireless DMX, but that's ahead of us. We're not getting there yet. A couple others that I didn't grab, but I do absolutely want to mention. One is ADJ's Airstream IR, which now you take and put the control in your tablet or your phone and put an infrared transmitter into the headphone jack, and you're able to control lights via your phone, still via the infrared. So it counts as infrared, keeping that in there. I'm going to hold the next one. Actually, I'm going to plot my course here.
So let's jump back to that UC3. You got that handy. Again, our progression of lighting control. When you would have the one where you could turn the light on and off, they started coming out with little controllers like that would plug into the first light, and then you could daisy chain with an XLR. I don't even
DMX.
At that time, I don't even know that they weren't even talking DMX. It didn't exist in a lot of the cheaper lighting, as far as I would know. So you daisy chain them with these really crappy XLR cables. There was no way around it. There were times where you'd take it and you put it in, and the wire was draped there. And there was literally one time where the weight of the wire pulled it right out.
Oh my!
It was no. So we do that, and now you had, with that little switch that Ben was showing, or a variation of that, you could black them out.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's about purposeful control.
Yeah, and that was so cool because now we could shut it off, and then the lights would go. Depending on which one, some of them went to sleep. So there was your duty cycle. It's like, yeah, and then you could push them down, get it going again. Oh man, we thought we had the world there by the butt there for a while.
So before I move on to the next round of control protocols here, I want to just mention how great some of our viewers are
Yeah.
and some of our customers are. And hopefully if you're a viewer, you're a customer. And hopefully if you're a customer, you're a viewer. But selling sound and lighting systems to DJs can be emotionally exhausting, to say the least. It can be exceptionally challenging to do commerce in an ultra connected environment. In a world like the world is today, you can just really feel like you're getting bombarded, at times, with just stuff that people find out there, things that people wish was true and want you to make it true for them. And it can be, it can be very trying. Again, our whole staff loves the industry and you can see that love on their faces, but sometimes you see as they leave at the end of the day, they look kind of beat up. It's been a long day. They've worked hard to try to make those dreams come true, and so, it always is a big positive thing when today, one of the girls was dropping off mail and dropped an envelope off of my desk. And I thought, well, that's odd. It's an odd shaped envelope. And well, let's take a look and let's see what's in it, and I got this awesome lightsaber tie. So, and you know what? It's not even about getting stuff. And I love, everybody loves getting stuff, but it's not even about getting the stuff. It's the fact that somebody just saw that and thought, that's cool. I really appreciate what Ben does for the industry. I'm going to take my time and money and I'm going to mail this thing. And I'm going to wear that too. And I'm not really a tie guy, and I will definitely find an excuse to wear that.
I'm looking forward to seeing that in Vegas during one of your presentations.
I might. You know what?
You
people say I should class it up a little bit when I present. But you know what? Honestly, it's not just that. People who take a moment to just send you a quick message and say, I just really appreciate what you do. Because at the same time, you get other people that are, kind of ranting and raving at you because, I had somebody who bought a product from somebody else, couldn't get it to work. They couldn't get any support from that dealer. So they asked me and I said, you know what, I am very busy. I'm sorry, but I am jammed up helping the people that are my customers. I just really can't. This is going to take some time to help you. And I just don't have the time. Yeah. And I owe the people who spent the money with me that time. Mm-hmm. And they didn't like that. And they kind of went off and, gave me, they were reacting from the frustration of the fact that they can't make this product work, and they didn't like me, telling them that, but I kind of feel like the people that they gave their money to owe them that support. And I'm sorry they're not getting it. But anyway, those things, they pile up on you a little bit. So it's really nice when somebody just says, hey, I really appreciate all the things you do. I appreciate that you write these articles and you do these shows and you do mm-hmm. these speeches and you answer our questions and you participate in the forums. And it doesn't have to manifest itself in a tie or a gift. I just wanted to throw that out there and say, I think DJs beat up on each other as well. And so I wanted to just throw you a little love and say, you're good people. All right. You're good people.
Most are very good people. Yes.
Some of you. Yeah. Most of you are good people.
There's that Bill Herman guy. He's a little sketchy, but hey,
yeah. You know what though? I'm cool with Bill Herman because I got to electrocute him. So,
there is that. You're still up on him one.
After that, Bill and I have an understanding and he just doesn't ever come within 15 feet of me. So like I carry voltage around in my hands or something, No, I love Bill. All right. So moving on, the next one, I think the obvious one today would be DMX, and here mm-hmm. we see just a traditional, small DMX controller. I don't know. I'm trying to hit the microphone here.
Yep. We got it.
And DMX, we had this question, I think it was last week, where somebody asked how to make DMX easier. And I said, I think it's as easy as it's ever been. I don't know that it might get easier yet, but it's certainly the easiest it's ever been that I can remember, where we have devices like Sound Switch that will interact with your, with your music library. And we have, DMX software interfaces that use a really easy graphical interface that make it very humanized for people. And products like Show Express, My DMX3 and these awesome software packages. So DMX is going to have to be, I think, where it's really at now. Almost everything comes with DMX on it, and it's getting very, very easy. And in fact, before I move on to kind of the last one here, another product I want to throw in is a product, another ADJ product, the Airstream Bridge, where here again, you've got phone control that talks to a DMX interface, which then sends that DMX signal, propagates that out to all your fixtures. So it's becoming much easier. There's profiles built into the program. It's very, I would even say, fun to run. Not every minute, of course. I mean, learning means, having some headaches probably. And now I'm sort of at a crossroads because I think my progression is complete to where I can say we'll do this. We'll just keep going on the DMX derivatives, and then no, because I'm under an embargo. I can't say. So I'll just say you're going to see, I think, more phone control. How about that? Let's just say you want to be on my little list of some really cool things that I'm not allowed to talk about. That
until about when approximately?
They won't even tell me.
Jeez, how can we?
I feel like I'm kind of feeling like, what's the worst they could do if I just said it, but I don't want to find out. So,
they certainly aren't going to take your birthday away. And they're not going to take your Star Wars action figures away. Your Star Wars bedding is safe. They may not.
Thank goodness. They'd have to tangle with my wife for that.
I'm thinking, as long as you've got her on your side, you're in good shape.
My youngest daughter was pointing out the iniquities of life last night as about 9 o'clock. She's being, told to go back to bed. It's past bedtime, and I'm eating a bowl of ice cream at 9 o'clock at night. And she's pointing out how horribly unfair it is that I get to stay up, watch TV, eat ice cream, and she has to go to bed. And I said, you know what? That's your reward for making it around the sun 42 times. Okay. You just, you don't know, you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So you better eat the ice cream today. That's all I'm saying,
So the moral of our show tonight is eat the ice cream today.
Absolutely. Every day.
And building your own
sponsored by Wells Dairy
can be dangerous.
Could you get us an ice cream sponsor? That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
I'd be totally down for that. All right. So capping off our DMX derivatives, and then undoubtedly you'll have some good questions and we'll kind of answer those. The last I'm going to mention would be ArtNet, which is DMX over Ethernet. It's an Ethernet protocol where the DMX data becomes packetized and sent over a standard Ethernet network. And thus the limitations and the advantages of DMX apply. We're limited to just 328 feet, called ballpark at 300. We have to use star topology now instead of line topology. Everything has to be home runs to switches. But once it comes out, we have 2 universes of DMX here. And the theoretical maximum of ArtNet is something like 37,000 universes. I'm not sure it's been achieved. But here again, that concert that we were doing last week, and some people saw the pictures and saw tons of lighting. And we talked about how many universes there were going to be. And I said, I don't even know. It's 10 or 11 or 12 or something. It's all over Cat 5. We're not running 12 DMX cables to the stage. We're running 2 Cat 5s, and one is a backup. It's a redundant network. So, and we could run many more than 12 if we wanted to. So I think that's my last one. ArtNet isn't really a control technology so much as it is a distribution technology, because it's still DMX control. It's DMX when it goes in, and it's DMX when it comes out. And then there's things like SACN and that sort of thing, and I just left those out, so we're not going to talk about those.
But there are some lights that understand the ArtNet, and you don't need to hook them up DMX wise. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, you absolutely are, particularly pixel mapping lights. And there's also ClingNet when you get into pixel mapping. But as you get into like the pixel moving heads, a lot of those have ArtNet on board and that sort of thing. And some of those then do actually have little switches inside that allow you to link from those lights with a Cat 5. So take back what I said about the star topology, because at that point, I mean, it still is, but they're giving you the capability of linking out from that light. It's like having a little switch in each one. But again, at the end of the day, ArtNet is only transporting DMX information. There's no ArtNet control per se. Whereas ClingNet is a control protocol. It's not DMX, it's ClingNet. So I don't know if that makes sense here, but ArtNet still is packetizing DMX universes within it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you're still going to have a DMX patch, even on something like, what we were using there, Grand MA2. You're still going to have universe and patch assignments.
I guess I didn't
I think we're
realize
getting
that-
way past DJs.
No,
at this
we're
point.
certainly are, but I didn't think there was that much difference between CleanNet and ArtNet. I thought they were very, very similar in functionality and what they could do.
No, I would say no, because CleanNet is its own protocol, and it's very easy to use. I mean, I think they've done an amazing job with CleanNet of making it very, user friendly, almost plug and play. Just much simpler in a lot of ways. But it's not transporting DMX like ArtNet is. That's all ArtNet's doing, is transporting DMX universes on an Ethernet packet.
Oh, I learned something once again.
Well, I mean, that's why we do the show.
Yeah, that's why we
right?
do the show. That's pretty much, to keep ourselves entertained. Chris was asking with ArtNet then, what software what's on the computer side of it that's being pushed out?
Well, it depends. You don't even necessarily need to have anything on the computer. For example, and they call these nodes, by the way, ArtNet nodes. This node, now we see by these females here, and we see it says DMX out, but most ArtNet nodes are transceivers. So they could also be receiving. I could take a controller and plug into this. In fact, one could be out and one could be in. Most of these are configurable, and I was looking around. I got a collection of these somewhere, different kinds, but I don't see them close by. They're not within arm's reach. And so you could just take a standard, we could go from a Show Express box into this and then send it out over Cat5. I'm not sure what the advantage of that would be, but you could. That said, you can also go into the Show Express software, and now there's the DMX AN, and you can, you still have to unlock the license with a box, but you can go then push to an ArtNet node that way. And many softwares allow that. We use from again Grand MA, we use Elation E nodes, which are 8 DMX universe node outputs. So it basically, it's just, you could use your computer's Ethernet port if your software allows you to do it,
Sure.
which many softwares do. I'm not sure I answered that very concisely.
But that makes sense if it's something that's not really proprietary to one software program, that there are different ways to utilize that connection, that transmitting of that information.
Well, and that's the beauty of it. Just like DMX, ArtNet is universal. So whereas this Show Express box is proprietary to Show Express, ArtNet is not. ArtNet is not really proprietary. And in fact, you can mix and match nodes. You can send from one node and receive on another node. I've yet to find an instance where that doesn't work. There probably is an instance due to some weird firmware thing or something. But I've yet to run into that, honestly.
Very nice. I did not know that.
It's actually pretty easy too. Again, that E node, for example, just pops right up on the MA, and it's actually fairly simple. And you could do the same thing with limited success with Compu or Show Express, or that sort of thing. Again, depending on how many universes that software will allow you to send via the ArtNet, how you're paying to unlock those universes if necessary, and that sort of thing. So here we could get into a pretty murky area,
Ben was asking, do lights have to have a Cat5 connection to use the ArtNet?
The light would, yeah. If you're going into the light directly, like John was saying, some of the lights, like 5x5 matrix moving heads, many of them have ArtNet on board. The light would need to have a Cat5, an EtherCon, or RJ45 connection. However, you could have this node living up in the truss, and then it's just XLR out. And so now this is a DMX bus, just like any other DMX bus in the world. What comes out of here is absolutely no different from what comes out of here.
Sure.
So you wouldn't need a RJ45 on the light in order to use ArtNet with the light. You would just need it if you wanted to plug a Cat5 directly into the light.
Oh, that sounds good. Show Express supports ArtNet.
Yes, it does.
But then something about that, but you have to have the original dongle too, and they're not sure how that works.
Correct. And that's what I was just saying. You have to unlock the software license basically with that dongle. And then you can add a DMX AN for less money and have ArtNet output at that point. And I don't remember exactly off the top of my head the universe limitations at that point. I know Show Express supports 6 universes, but I just don't recall specifics on that. I think you can add. I think an AN adds you 2 more universes.
So let's just talk a little bit about the universe. Universe is 512 channels.
Yeah.
Now let's look at that 5x5 matrix light. Some of those lights are you utilizing hundreds of channels. Am I correct? Have I heard that right?
Yeah, they certainly could be. Let's just say that you've got a 5x5 matrix, which is 25 diodes, and let's say that it's an RGBW. So there's 100 channels right there. Now, of course, you have pan tilt. You maybe have macro channel. You have fine pan, fine tilt. Wouldn't be out of line to have 116 or 110 channels used by that light. So, and once we get into even bigger matrices, you can start burning up channels really fast. What was it? What was the light I used the other day? I don't think it was the Festoon. But anyway, it was like 384 channels for one light.
Wow.
Yeah, we used up 300. I forget what it was now. It was something I did in a hurry. So my life lately these days is doing things in a hurry. So another reason I get ice cream at 10 o'clock at night. But yeah, it was 384 channels we used on one fixture. So you're using up. I mean, you couldn't put 2 of those in one universe. You just can't.
This wouldn't work.
Don't fit in 512. So.
You mentioned, and this actually was a question I had as I've been playing with some lights and such with the Airstream DMX bridge. Fine tilt and fine pan, what is that? I move the slider and I don't see much of anything happening. So
that's right. That's what you want. Picture a long throw with a moving head. Here's a great example. So a moving head as a spot on a flag in an arena for the national anthem, for example, and that light is shooting 40 or 50 feet, and you want very precise alignment. Now, our pan and tilt channels have values of 0 to 256. So that's a very limited amount of resolution that you have. That's every time you move one value, you're moving greater than a degree. And from a distance like that could be a huge difference. Think about, a gun sight, for example. You move a gun a millimeter, you're hitting something 10 feet away from your intended target over distance, right? So if we take and add because we only have this 8-bit resolution, basically 0 to 255. So if we add another channel, now we have 256 squared, which is something like 16,000. I'm sorry, viewers, I can't do the math in my head, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 16,000. Let me just get my calculator out. Who needs brains if you have batteries,
right? You've got a calculator.
65,000, excuse me. Where I got the 16 from. So you have tremendously greater resolution at that point. At that point, you're probably more limited by the resolution of the motor in the light than you are by that, fine pan and fine tilt.
Okay.
So that allows you to make very precise adjustments for where that light is placed. 16,000, I'm sure where I got 16,000, but it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. The idea is that, and I didn't even think about the distance throw. Because, that would make a huge difference with that only 256 spots. So actually, some of those lights, moving head fixtures, will do 540, won't they?
Yeah, 540, and others are 270. Some now have infinite pan and infinite tilt. This is going to bug me. I'm going to keep working on this calculator and try to figure out what I'm thinking here. So, whatever.
Well, I think we're going to wrap things up, Ben. We covered our topic and such, and I want to make sure the video keep things tight and such, so that when they watch later, they'll be like, "Yeah, that was a short video."
And there's only so much of me you can take, right?
It is still 40 minutes, so that's okay. That's okay. If you guys have any questions or anything after you watch the video and you want us to cover something more in depth on what we talked about tonight, please either get a hold of Ben or myself. The Ask Ben Stowe page is out there, or you can go to the Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe page on Facebook and put comments there, or reach out directly to us on Facebook. Even Katie, you can ask her, and she'll pass it along too.
I'll tell you what, two things I just want to say there. One is it's no longer called Ask Ben Stowe. It's called Ben Stowe and Friends.
Yeah.
Because I have some very gifted friends, many that answer questions on that page as well. I'm not the only source of information in the industry. I know people gasp, what? No, really, it's true. So it's just called Ben Stowe and Friends. Please jump over and join the conversation there. And two, Katie doesn't just have to pass the information on. She's very intelligent and capable and can actually answer a lot of questions. I don't want people to sell her short. She's a very good resource for DJs who spends a lot of time around gear. She's not just somebody who sits and takes orders, but somebody who goes out and gigs and understands this stuff from that side as well. So,
but then she'll take our Tuesday night show.
That's a risk we'll have to take. I mean, that whole Batman thing was a bit.
That was good. That was pretty good. If you didn't get a chance to see our game that we did down in Anaheim, that was.
People are already joining the page. By the way, I see people are sending requests to join the page. So
there you are. Yeah, just go search for Ben Stowe and Friends. It is on Facebook and it pops up right away. So we'll be back in about 20 minutes with our music show tonight. Ben started actually when we hooked up tonight. He had his music blaring in the background, and it's like, no, the second show is our flashback music from our early days. So Ben,
now let's not forget, I know we're trying to wrap this up, but let's not forget, I spent a lot of years gigging, and I still spend a lot of years touring and doing sound for touring bands. And I mean, I love music. All right. I know I'm a geek, and that's what I get to wear, but let's not forget, once upon a time, I fancied myself as a rock drummer or something. I don't know what I was clearly misguided, but we can talk music, John. I love music.
Yeah, well, we've done that before, and we'll be doing it again, of course. That's part of it.
It wasn't too big a disaster. Huh?
Yeah, of course. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back in about 20. Let's catch you later.
Tonight's DJNTV show is sponsored in part by Electro Voice, DJ Event Planner, ADJ, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, Newmark, and DJNTV Insider.